There is only one preseason game left, and it seems like it's all or nothing for Dameon Pierce.
You are Locked On Texans, your daily podcast on the Houston Texans. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, everybody, to this Thursday episode of the Locked On Texans podcast, a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you to all of our first-time listeners and viewers. Please subscribe, like, and comment to the Locked On Texans podcast on YouTube and wherever you listen to your podcast. Thank you to all of our returning listeners, what we call our everydayers, Thank you guys for coming back to listen to Cody and myself talk Texans. I'm your Texans football analyst, John, some sports guy Hickman. On the other side of the screen, y'all know him as Code T. Davis. He's up in Detroit where it gets a little bit cold, but down here in H-Town, it is hot. Training camp is hot. Jimmy Ward says, I got to find balance. I don't got to be too aggressive all the time at practice, which is kind of a good thing. Says he got to find a better way to, just do what he needs to do without being as aggressive. Him and Nico got tangled up. But we are talking Texans today. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Cody, take us away.
Yo, I'm going to need Jimmy Ward to make sure he keep that same foolishness and that same competitiveness nature against the Los Angeles Rams, because today marks the very first and only day of joint practices between the Houston Texans and the Los Angeles Rams. So we're going to close out with that. And they're also going to have an opportunity to close their 2024 preseason schedule against the Rams. And it seems like the only veteran out there who definitely needs a breakout performance is Dameon Pierce. So unfortunately, we got to talk about DP in this episode because it seemed like slowly but surely his time with the Houston Texans might be coming to an end sooner rather than later. But we're going to get this latest installment of Locked On Texans kicked off with players out there. The Houston Texans continue the training camp, and boy, was it a good one. Davis Mills returned after missing all of last week, and he had one of his best days out there throwing touchdown passes. One of the best parts of practice came when he hit Xavier Hutchinson for a deep touchdown pass. Talking about the running back position, Joe Mixon finally looked like the Joe Mixon that the Houston Texans traded for when he came from the Cincinnati Bengals. Looked really good out there on one of his best days since he returned from injury. However, one, if not the biggest standpoint during this latest day of training camp was Kalen Bullock getting first team reps. And here's what Coach D'Amico Ryans had to say about the rookie safety.
Kalen's been steady. He's been making plays for us. He's been consistent throughout practice. He finds a way to get his hands on the ball every day in practice. So I'm excited about his growth and his development as a young, safety in our system. I think he has a chance to be one of the better ones that I've had a chance to work with.
When Kalen Bullock got to Houston, the thought process behind him is, Houston's going to have a player that they can trust back there, single high safety, and allow them to kind of mix and disguise coverages. And through the first, 3 weeks of preseason games, you want to know one of the plays that stood out to me? Well, on that Derek Stingley Jr. interception.
The one from Saturday.
Petrie, Eric Murray, and Kalen Bullock was on the field at the same time. So you look at him getting first-team reps. He was out there with some of the first-team players during last week's preseason game against the New York Giants. And this is coming from a guy that didn't understand why he was signed in the first place. And it took up to last year for me to see him be a productive player now in a specified role. But, has Eric Murray looked good for the Houston Texans? There's no way around it. We got to be real about it. And with Jimmy Ward, but Jalen Petrie finding his way in that role at that nickel position, you have an opportunity for the Houston Texans to really mix up some of your coverages, disguises, and get playmakers on the field that can make plays for you. And Kalen Bullock is going to be a playmaker for the Houston Texans. Just looking at how they got him out there, when they have him out there, the trust that they have with Bullock, the young man, the rookie safety, when he's out there. Same with Kamari last year. I think he had 2 interceptions on the day, picking off C.J. Stroud. And the other day, Kamari Lassiter said the word rookie is just a word. And I think that same day he wore all black Air Forces. And y'all know he's from Georgia, Georgia Bulldogs. So you know how they get down. So Houston has some dogs on the defensive side of the ball. What I like most about that is they got the front four to help those rookies out. What I mean by that, when you get Will Anderson, when you get Daniil Hunter, Folu Fadakausi, Mario Edwards, when you get those guys that can create the pressure on the quarterback consistently, you're going to throw some of these quarterbacks off, i.e. looking at the opportunity that Jalen Petrie just had this past week with the pick six. Derek Barnett getting on that pressure, causing the pressure on Daniel Jones, and you're seeing Jalen Petrie with the pick six. They're going to all feast from that. They're going to all have an opportunity to be recipients of that pressure, and you like the ball skills of a Kalen Bullock. You like the ball skills and that dog mentality of a rookie Kamari Lassiter. So I like those guys. And another thing that I wanted to just shout out with Jimmy Ward is honestly understanding we got something special on the table. And as much as I want to be physical, because you heard it from Azeez Al-Shaair, if you're soft, you are not Houston Texan material. And for Jimmy Ward, we've talked about it. Hey, man, keep that same energy when you're going up against other players. Rookie tight end Theo Johnson just tried to hurdle somebody for the Houston Texans. And Jimmy Ward came out of nowhere and smacked midair against the New York Giants. So, it's there. But, Jimmy, we need you on the field. Jimmy, we're going to need your teammates on the field. Overall, you got guys on both sides of the ball stacking days. Xavier Hutchinson is going to really make this wide receiver room tough. The cut down day is coming up very soon. I don't have the day in front of me, but you're looking at guys like, I'm not going to say John Mechie. You're looking at Xavier Hutchinson. You're looking at Noah Brown, who we have yet to see. You're looking at Robert Woods, who I think Houston can benefit from moving on from. Right now, they have around $20 million in their salary cap. If you move on from Robert Woods, then you would be looking at $24 to $25 million. So you look at that as a potential blanket to improve the team throughout the year, whether that be by picking up free agents or making a trade for an impact player at the trade deadline. You never know, but with this team, they are primed for a Super Bowl run, so that money can help. Ben Skoranek, Houston traded a 6th or 7th round for. I can't remember off the top of my head, but has he looked better than Xavier Hutchinson? Right? Has he looked better than the potential once John Mechie got those targets and reps in a real game? Has he looked better than John Mechie? I don't think so. So Xavier Hutchinson putting together some of these days, man, he is a young gem for the Houston Texans. And guys, remember, Stephon Diggs is on a 1-year deal. So if Houston doesn't look to bring him back next year, if it doesn't work out, you got John Mechie and you got Xavier Hutchinson, 2 young studs that will be going into year 3 of this offense, year 3 with C.J. Stroud and Bobby Sloyd, and that could potentially help this team continue to roll on and roll on. So I like what Houston has at the wide receiver position. They got some good guys, and Davis Mills, after missing all last week with the rib injury, didn't get a chance to play against the New York Giants, delivered 2 beautiful passes. 40-yarder to John Mechie, another 40-yarder, to Xavier Hutchinson. Cody, this is what you want to see out of your backup quarterback, plain and simple.
Exactly, and it's definitely part of the reason why he's definitely going to be a part of this 53-man roster moving forward. Cut down day is next Tuesday, and John, I think the number one guy that might be on the bubble more than any other player on this roster, unfortunately, is Dameon Pierce. We're going to look at whether or not Saturday is a must breakout performance day for Dameon Pierce in order for him to retain his role and his roster spot with his organization.
Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. And also, as we talked about with Game Time before, your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service insurance policy in the ticketing industry. So download the Game Time app Create an account and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON NFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
Welcome back in, ladies and gentlemen, to this Thursday installment of Locked On Texans. So, John, I know we get into the point where we are tired of talking about the struggles of Dameon Pierce, man. And to be honest with you,
10 carries, 10 yards so far in preseason, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, actually, it's 8 carries, 9 yards. And to be honest with you, at this point, it's heartbreaking to talk about because I think we all are big fans of Dameon Pierce. And of course, we still want to see him and look at the player that we saw during the 2022 campaign. And I'm not about to write him off and call him a bust or anything like that. But I think it's safe to say that in order for Dameon Pierce to revamp his entire career, it might be safe just for him to get a fresh start somewhere else, because just like we have been saying ever since the start of preseason, regardless of how the offensive line looked, regardless of what quarterback that was out there on the field, every single one of these running backs have made the most of their opportunities. On yesterday's show, that was basically the name of the show, making the most out of your opportunities. That's part of the reason why we are looking at Cam Akers as someone who can definitely be a surprise to make the 53-man roster next Tuesday. However, with Dameon Pierce, it seems like he just isn't cutting it. Here is what Coach D'Amico Ryan said about the recent struggles of Dameon Pierce.
Dameon, we got to get him some ops in the game, to get him some more ops running the football. But Dameon's done a great job out here at practice. I don't think everybody's seen that in the game because, when he had his opportunities, we got guys unblocked in the hole, so he doesn't have a chance to really get started. So, we just have to give him more opportunities, but we have to block it better up front so he does have opportunities to make some plays in the running game.
When I was in Houston, oh, that really breaks my heart right now. I feel like I want to cry. But when I was in Houston and I had an opportunity to see majority of this training camp, Dameon Pierce did look good, I must say. And there was times where I thought to myself, and John, I remember texting you, hey, Dameon Pierce looked like the guy that we loved during the 2022 season. However, over the last 2 preseason games, we have not seen that version of DP. And I understand Coach D'Amico Ryan's talking about the importance of this offensive line blocking for him. And John, that is something that you have raved about and talked about over the last week or so now. However, John, I still go back to looking at what the other running backs have done. British Brooks, Gerard Jordan, Cam Akers, even Darrell Gumbawale in certain moments. And it didn't matter if they was playing behind majority of the offensive line or playing behind that god-awful offensive line with Nick Broker and the rest of those guys. Dameon has to show something. And when I take a look at this joint practice coming up, and when I take a look at Saturday's preseason game, I look at it from a standpoint, this is a must for DP, because if not, I fear that next week everybody is going to be doing the remember when Dameon Pierce was this for the Houston Texans, because he is not and no longer a part of the 53-man roster. And let me just say this, because I know some fans still might get defensive when you talk about DP. We do not hate Dameon Pierce.
Not at
we
all.
are speaking the facts, and we are also going back to what Nick Caserio has said, what Coach D'Amico Ryan has said, what Bobby Slowick has said, and even what Matt Burke has said. It doesn't matter what your name is. It doesn't matter about your last name on the back of that jersey. It only matters about what's going on the front of the jersey, and they are interested because now this is a championship contending team. They are interested in putting the best guys out there every single week. And as of right now, if we being honest, Dameon Pierce, forget not being one of the most productive or best running backs. He's not even one of the most productive and best players on the team right now. So hopefully starting today, joint practices against the Los Angeles Rams, he could do something to recover something that he lost. And hopefully Saturday he balls out. If I'm Dameon Pierce, I'm like, Coach, play me for a whole half. Don't put me on no limited snaps or anything like that. He definitely needs to show out Saturday in order to not only retain his 53-man roster spot, but make sure he still holds that valid, that solid production role that we thought that he was going to have coming into the season.
Yeah, right now Dameon Pierce is John Wall for the Houston Rockets. You know, in the sense of like that 2022 season, that was a bad year for the Texans, bad year for the Rockets. But what I'm saying is, you know, John Wall was still a productive player for the Houston Rockets at that point. Didn't win a lot of games.
He gave us something.
Gave Houston something. Didn't win a lot of games, but gave you a 25-7-7 game here and there. And a couple of years later, a lot of people are like, man, why is John Wall not in the league? Well, it got to be something. And with Dameon Pierce, it has to be something. And Cody, you are absolutely right. If I'm the coaching staff and it sounds like Dameon is going to get a quarter or half worth of opportunities.
Shoot, but I think the whole game, coach.
Shoot, really, I got a family to feed, but I think it starts later today against the LA Rams. Every time we talk about the good with Dameon Pierce, it's against the Texans. Practice. It's against somebody that somebody that can take it a little light right now. I mean, outside of Jimmy Ward, but it's somebody that maybe was your draft mate, right? Somebody that you may share a locker room with. And so for Dameon, the reason why I says it starts later today against the Rams, because the Rams ain't got to show you no love. There's a running back, a former Ram here in Houston.
You know he itching to get out there.
He's probably not only itching to get out there, but he's also probably in the lead in that RB2 spot right now. Honestly, if we take names out of it, take relationship out of it, look at the performance, that's just what it is. And we're talking about Cam Akers. So for Dameon, I got to go out there and I got to bust tail against the Rams Thursday. And I got to bust it at every opportunity. Even if I'm starting to fight right now, I got to bust their ass when I get out on that field. And then Saturday, when the clock strikes noon, right, and that slipper comes off, you got to still bust him and punch him in the mouth. I think he needs to play a whole half. I wouldn't be surprised if he get 3 quarters, because I think right now for Houston, they pretty much know who they want to keep around.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
You got some guys, we like them. May want to stash him on a practice squad. And obviously I'm talking about the 2 rookies, Jawar Jordan and British Brooks. J.J. Taylor has played well for Houston, but he's a vet that's been in the league for a couple of years. And he's is that a guy that's a difference maker for Houston? Can he be a difference maker for the Houston Texans in the future? I will go ahead and say no, but he's played well, and I think he honestly has deserved more of a role in this running back room, more of a chance to be on this roster right now than Dameon Pierce. That's just my honest opinion. But
I agree.
Maybe he could get there, but maybe it's him and Dameon right now. Who knows? But if I'm Dameon Pierce, coach, I'm fine. I can go out there and play another down. I can go out there and return kicks, return punts. I need to do it all because it's an absolute must that Dameon Pierce has a positive performance. And play that one more time from DeMeco Ryans. Just
Dameon, we got to get him some ops in the game, to get him some more ops running the football. But Dameon's done a great job out here at practice. I don't think everybody's seen that in the game because, when he had his opportunities, we got guys unblocked in the hole, so he doesn't have a chance to really get started. So, we just have to give him more opportunities, but we have to block it better up front so he does have opportunities to make some plays in the running game.
There's a young man here today.
Couple of things that he said that stood out. We've talked about it here on the show. He hasn't got an opportunity, the best opportunity to make some things happen because, yes, especially against the Pittsburgh Steelers. You got guys in his face, in the hole before he can do something. Absolutely, right? That was a point that I made last week in terms of coming to the defense of Dameon. But we got to give him some ops. You got to get those opportunities. And everybody else has made the best of their opportunities aside from Dameon Pierce. That sounds like a coach who I think has done a very good job, not only just Dameon Pierce, but Kenyon Green, just Jalen Petrie, multiple players. And it's kind of funny we talk about that 22 draft class, making sure that those players know I got your back. Whether you make the team or not, I got your back. I'm going to give you the opportunity to go out there and make the team. Jalen Petrie has made the most of his opportunities. Kenyon Green has made the most of his opportunities. Christian Harris, I think, is okay. We don't got to talk about him too much. But those are players that were here before DeMeco got here. Dameon, we're going to give you the opportunities. make the most of it. And when and if you do that, we're going to welcome you with open arms. But you got to go out there and make the most of that running the football.
We mentioned here on this show several times that the Houston Texans will host a joint practice against the Los Angeles Rams. So let's look at the Rams quickly before we close out this Thursday installment of Locked On Texans.
But first, I want to let you guys know about FanDuel. They're hooking up all customers right now through September 22nd. A great deal. Bet $5 and get 3 weeks free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with a YouTube TV-based plan, you will be able to watch every regular season game, every Sunday afternoon, even out-of-market games. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. Just visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to download America's #1 sportsbook today. Again, visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn and get hooked up. 3 free weeks. Free weeks. NFL Sunday Ticket. Welcome back here, Locked On Texans listeners and viewers. Before we close out today's show, LA Rams later today, and you got the battle of Whataburger versus In-N-Out Burger. You got the battle of who has better Mexican food. And, of course, it's Houston. And In-N-Out Burger is trash.
It really is. It's so plain.
It's nasty.
It's like there's no options. Like, I was so disappointed.
The fries come out hot cold.
Yes.
Those fries come out the grease cold.
Exactly.
And LA people swear by them. But you also got the battle Thursday, the game of the Shanahan tree, which is always good to see. I know those guys are probably trying to figure out how to out-scheme the other guy, whether it's on the defensive side or the offensive side. But you got some interesting things to take away from it. Again, we talked about Dameon Pierce making the most out of his opportunities. I also look at some of the guys that I want to continue to see stack days. I'm not worried about Derek Stingley. He's going to be all right, but I want to see Kamari Lassiter against some of those wide receivers over there.
Jordan Whittington, the rookie wide receiver. I think in preseason he's leading the league in receptions. I believe he had like 13 or 15 for like 127 yards or something like that. Like, that young man has been balling, and I think that's going to be a battle that a lot of people are definitely going to love, plain and simple. However, I am a little bit interested to see who's going to be throwing Jordan the ball, because Matthew Stafford missed, like, I believe, a week and a half of practice due to a hamstring injury. He did make his return Thursday, that Tuesday, that final day before they left for Houston. However, head coach Sean McVay did say that they was trying to save Matthew Stafford for the regular season, so I do not expect him to suit up in Saturday's preseason game, but I'm pretty sure he's going to go out there and take a couple snaps inside of the Houston Methodist training facility. But John, here's what Coach D'Amico Ryans had to say about the joint practices against the Rams.
Yeah, we're excited to have the Rams come in and work with us on tomorrow. It'll be a lot of situational football, talking with Coach McVay. We just want to work situations that probably normally wouldn't come up, or things that we can manufacture ourselves and get just good, clean work amongst two really good teams. So I'm excited. Our guys are excited to work with the Rams. We know they have a ton of respect for Coach McVay and what he's done, throughout his career. He's always had his team ready to go, and I'm just excited for our guys to get a chance to get some different looks offensively and defensively, so we can strain ourselves mentally. I think that's the main idea behind the joint practices, is you get a chance to, you get a chance to play physical football. You thud guys up, right? We're still not going to the ground. We'll treat both teams, treat each other like teammates, like we would normally practice. No cheap shots or anything like that, but it's about getting good quality work in. One of my thing I don't like is guys just coming out ready to just make it a shoving match. That's what it's not about. It's about getting good work with different schemes. That's what it's all about, and we'll get that work tomorrow.
You hear that, Jimmy Ward? You hear that? I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, Jimmy gonna dial it back. I also think this is a good opportunity for Houston to go up against a good running team. So far during preseason, the LA Rams have run the ball pretty well. especially going back to last week's game. So I think this is a great opportunity for that front four. And you know you're going to have guys, last preseason game for the Houston Texans, you know, how much of Fado Cowsey are we going to see? How much of Mario Edwards are we going to see? We're going to see more of Khalil Davis. How much more? I'm not sure. But the rookie Marcus Hill from Auburn, even those linebackers, talked about Delshon Phillips, talked about the rookie Jamal Hill. Cody, yesterday you talked about
Max Tooley.
Like, you know, they run the ball fairly well over there in LA. They've done so far in preseason. So this is a good opportunity, I think, for that front seven to go up against a unit that can move the ball and it would be challenging. And Houston can see, like, okay, well, this guy is better in this area than maybe the guy that he's competing against for this role. So maybe we need to look on to keep him compared to another guy for depth purposes. So I think Houston has a good challenge in front of them. Rams are a good team, man. And I really do like Sean McVay as a head coach. I love what he's been able to do with the LA Rams after you see Ramsey leave, Aaron Donald left. Just kind of, you know, instilling that I still got Matthew Stafford, finding a diamond in the rough in Kyron Williams last year in the draft. So excited to see how Houston can go up against, I think, a very good battle, a respected franchise. They don't have too many troublemakers over there. So I don't think we're going to have fights in training camp, honestly. I think you're going to get two teams that are focused on getting better, being better, and they're going to go about it that way. And thank you guys for watching today's episode of the Locked On Texans podcast. Please subscribe, like, and comment to the Locked On Texans podcast on YouTube and wherever you listen to your podcast. Also, follow me on Twitter at John_Hickman12.
And as always, I'm your host, Cody M. Davis. Please remember to follow me on Twitter at CodyDavis_24. Once again, it's Cody, COTYDAVIS_24. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, peace.